And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode. This is the Sports Cave. Your co-host Robbie, my co-host Zachary, and Zachary. I'll unmute you really quick, buddy. How you doing?
Well, Robbie, I'm going to be honest with you. I've been getting butt fucked by the flu for these last couple days. But it made it a hell of a lot easier to wake up this morning to be able to silence all these critics, especially the ones named Bob Clark, that they no longer can say shit about my Ohio State Buckeyes because we are national champions, Robert. My God, that feels good to say. It feels good to say.
I'm happy for you, buddy. Happy for you.
And in typical Ohio State fashion, too, you know, you get out into just a dominant first three quarters of football, and then you kind of, you leave your fishing line in that water for just a little bit too long. You know, they definitely let Notre Dame get back into that, and, I mean, all credit to Notre Dame, too. They played a great game. That's kind of the first time I think I've ever watched them play. Their quarterback is fucking pretty nice. Riley Leonard, I think his name is. Not a bad player at all. Another funny thing I like to point out, Robbie, is they showed a clip of Kyle McCord, our quarterback of last year.
Yeah, with Syracuse.
When Syracuse beat, I can't remember who they beat in their bowl game. I guess McCord.
Clemson, right? Was it Clemson?
Yeah, I think it was Clemson. And McCord must have had a really good game because they brought it up in the post game thing. They're just like, well, you know, you put up this sort of stat line. And I think it might have been that week, or maybe it was Ohio State had a loss. I mean, the week before that, and maybe it was went to Michigan, and they brought that up, and he just starts laughing. He's like, everything comes full circle. Well, let me tell you something, Mr. McCord. Everything does come full circle because we would not have won that national championship without you. Because to be honest with you, besides Jeremiah Smith, who is by far the greatest freshman wide receiver I've ever seen with my own two fucking eyes, we had pretty much the exact same team we had this year as we did last year. A lot of returnees, obviously, by bringing in Judkins, who I believe came from Ole Miss, if I'm correct here. Well, I'm not too sure where he came from, but I know he came in, which a lot of people at the beginning of the season were saying, why are you bringing in another running back? You got Trayvon Henderson already, who's a top running back in the nation, or a top running back in the nation, I should say, not the top, a top running back. And then Ryan Day, beginning of the season, said, well, this is hopefully we're going to lighten up to his load, so he'll be a little bit more electric in the college football playoff. And boy, oh boy, did that work. And Ryan Day just probably got himself a lifetime contract for as long as he wants to stay, Robert.
I don't know about lifetime, but he definitely got himself a fairly good contract.
He got at least a decade. He bought himself a 10-year window, I'd say.
Okay. All right, that's fair enough. Well, congratulations to your Buckeyes. I think Marcus Freeman has this Notre Dame Fighting Irish club on the right track compared to what Brian Kelly had. I mean, in the second or third year as the head coach, they made it to the national championship, and they fought like hell. I mean, we knew the winner of Oregon versus Ohio State was going to become the national champion. Notre Dame tried their best. The thing that really kind of upset me was you're down by, I believe it was 16 at the time they were down. They attempt to go for the field goal to cut the deficit to 13. You got to go for it. You got to go for a fourth down. I don't care what.
Yeah, that's a stupid call. And, I mean, the football gods just showed them how stupid that was because they doinked it.
Yeah. So, Ohio State, give them credit. I mean, this is a team that a lot of people, including yourself, didn't believe in. You were calling for Ryan Day's job, but he prevailed. He is a national champion. Their most difficult task was facing Oregon the second time, and they defeated them by convincing margin. The only thing that's going to stand over you is, although you're national champions, the one thing that's still going to bite you in the ass is those fucking Wolverine fans, the Michigan Wolverines, with the victory they had against you guys. They're going to make sure you guys never.
They can say that all they want. You know what another hilarious video is? A video going viral of Dave Queerbait Portnoy last year when Michigan won, going at all the Ohio Tate from Barstool, and then the big fat guy. I can't remember his name, but they're both big Ohio State guys.
Big Evan.
And Dave's like, he's like, yeah, well, guess what I can say? He's like, when's the last time you guys won a natty, fat boy? I can say that now. Well, congratulations, Dave. You had that over him for one fucking year. Now, I will say this. The future of Michigan is looking pretty bright. You got the top recruit quarterback coming in.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if a team just wins a national championship, Robbie, it's going to be an attractive NIL destination. It's going to be an attractive portal destination. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State is right back into that gunning for next year. Obviously, we all know how hard it is to win back-to-back, and Ohio State is going to be a very different-looking team next year because so many of these guys are seniors and will have to move on. But You got to give credit where credit's due to the guys like Abuka, Henderson, the guys that came back for that last year when they didn't have to come back, and they end up getting the job done. So, congratulations to them. What a fucking victory. What a game. What a season. I'm just going to ride this high, Robbie. I just wish that I wasn't dying in bed with like 103 degrees fever last night.
Yeah, that sucks. Zach, before we continue, I just have to throw this out there. I'm not going to throw the issue that's out there. I'm not going to say what's necessarily going on, but I just wanted to tell everybody because I got coworkers that listen to this. There is a situation that has been going on. I was originally telling Zach he's probably going to have to do this week by himself. I talked to a couple people. They thought it was the best interest for me to try to do the show, to try to get my mind off of what's going on. And if I've contacted you, you know what I'm talking about. If I have contacted you and you're listening to this, I apologize if I missed out on you because, there's a lot of people that are involved in this. So, the week that I've had, Zach, I'm going to try to do the show today the best I can. And Thursday, if I have an important phone call, I have to answer it. I'll put the solo screen on you, mute myself. But with the week that I've had, I said until Steve's birthday, I can't help myself. I am drinking the high life. You did.
I think it's very understandable here, Robert. Let me just pull up. I don't have any of our fucking notes. I had to restart my laptop because it was acting like a fucking asshole today. So I got to get.
I'll tell you what, I'll take the lead here because we have some breaking news out of this sport. So let's get to it. We'll go right into this. Yes, congratulations, Zack, on Ohio State. We'll see what they're able to do next season. Will Howard's going to be coming back for next season, I believe, correct?
I am not too sure. I mean, I would definitely take him back.
Jeremiah Smith for next year for sure.
Yes, that guy's a fucking lethal on it. Well, you got to hope he's going to stay. I mean, I'm sure someone like that could really have his pick of the litter where he wants to go, but I think if you win a title here, you have a chance now to cement yourself as Ohio State legacy, which, I mean, that's a pretty high pedigree if you're looking at college football.
College football is going to be taking a next step next year. I mean, we're going to see what happens with Deion Sanders. If he stays at Colorado, he's going to be losing his two best players, his son, Shador, and Travis Hunter. Quinn Ewers is entering the draft, so it's now going to be Archie Manning time with Texas. Unless he declares for the draft, which I don't think he's going to. Carson Beck is going to go to the Miami Hurricanes. My UConn Huskies won 9 games last year. I'm hoping that they could take that next step forward. Michigan's going to have the number 1 recruit quarterback. He'll probably start off as a freshman because they literally didn't have a quarterback this year. And we're just going to see where it takes us. But it was a good college football season. It was definitely interesting. And I hope to see more people make some field goal attempts for Pat McAfee's shit he does on College Game Day. But Zachary, congratulations.
Real quick, Robbie, I think Will Howard will be moving on because that was his 5th year of college football. So I think he's probably done.
All right. Well, next sport.
Yep, moving on.
Might get drunk.
Robbie, give me 1 sec here. I just got an alert on my phone saying that my car door is open. So I'm just going to peek through my window, make sure no one's stealing my car.
We're going to give him some time to get back on the mic. That is worrisome, folks. That is absolutely worrisome. And if we see Zachary making a V line for that door, that means he's ready to fucking take some names and kick some ass and chew bubblegum.
Well, I couldn't see it from there, but I'm just going to text my mom to say, is dad going through my car?
What's he going through?
Because I haven't been in that thing in a long time.
Oh, that makes sense. All right, Zachary. We have some breaking news about 20 to 30 minutes ago.
Yep.
We have new members for the MLB Hall of Fame. So I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to go from the bottom up. 3 people had their first year on the ballot and didn't get a single vote. That'd be Hanley Ramirez, Fernando Rodney, which surprised me. I thought he would have gotten a couple, and Ben Zobrist. Players that did get votes in this list here in their first year of eligibility: Carlos Gonzalez, he got 2. Obviously, it's not enough. Adam Jones got 3. It's not enough. Curtis Granderson got 3. It's not enough. Troy Tulowitzki, former Yankee, former Blue Jay, has 4. Not enough. Brian McCann has 7. Russell Martin has 9. Ian Kinsler has 10. Okay. On his 5th year in the ballot, do you remember Torrey Hunter with the Minnesota Twins?
Oh, God, no.
Well, I guess that explains. But he was a very good player. He didn't get enough votes. David Wright in his 2nd year got 8.1. Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod, you remember him. with Seattle Mariners.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. That name does actually ring a bell.
His third year on the ballot, believe it or not, he only got 10% of votes. I don't know if he's going to make the Hall of Fame. That's a shame because he was on such a shit Seattle Mariners team. He was the only player relevant. Mark Burley, who had the perfect game with the Chicago White Sox, his 5th year, he's at 11.4%. Dustin Pedroia in his first year in the ballot got nearly 12%. I think maybe later on he's going to get into the Hall of Fame, but he definitely wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. Too many injuries. Omar Vizquel is on his 8th year. You have up to 10 years, Zachary. So he's on his 8th. He only made 17% of the votes. Jimmy Rollins, former MVP, World Series champion. He's on his fourth year, 18% of the votes. Bobby Abreu, his 6th year, got 19.5. Oh, Francisco Rodriguez. If I said Felix Hernandez, I fucked up. That was Francisco Rodriguez. He was the closer for the Angels, for the Mets. He was one of the best closers in baseball. He was tracking right there Mariano every year for most saves in a season. Felix Hernandez here. It is his first year in the ballot, and he got 20% of the votes, 20.6.
How many do you need to get in?
75 or more.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. Andy Pettitte got 27%. He's probably not going to make the Hall of Fame because of steroids. Manny Ramirez is on his 9th year. Next year's his last year. He's at 34%. He's not going to get in. Alex Rodriguez is on his 4th year. He got 37% of the votes. He's not going to ever get in. Chase Utley's on his 2nd year. He's up to near 40%. Andrew Jones, the center fielder for the Atlanta Braves for quite a period of time. He also was a Yankee for like 1 year. On his 8th year in the ballot, he got 66%. Carlos Beltran on his 3rd year of the ballot got 70%. And I think that's holding Carlos Beltran back, Zachary, is his antics. In 2017, he was one of the masterminds to setting up the whole cheating philosophy. So I think that takes a hit towards his reputation. That's why he's having a hard. He's going to get in at some point. I mean, he got 70% of the votes, but that takes a hit because Carlos Beltran's one of the greatest players to play baseball. And then there are 3 players that made it. On his 10th and final year on the ballot, Billy Wagner gets in at 82.5%. Former Milwaukee Brewer, Cleveland Indian, and New York Yankee C.C. Sabathia in his first year on the ballot gets in at 86.8%. Zachary, this one was a given. His first year in the ballot as a member of the Seattle Mariners for a very long period of time, the New York Yankees, and the Miami Marlins, ends his career back in Seattle. Ichiro Suzuki gets in on his first year, and just like Derek Jeter, he was 1 vote short of being a unanimous Hall of Famer. It's bullshit. They both should have been unanimous. There's always that one writer that has some retarded reason. But Ichiro is a Hall of Famer, just not unanimously. So that means the only player still to this day that's been in the Hall of Fame unanimously is Mariano Rivera. We're going to give a round of applause to those 3 gentlemen.
Stick taps, indeed. I mean, like, there's some names on that list. Like, what are we even putting Troy Tulowitzki on a fucking Hall of Fame ballot for, Robbie? I'm just going to say that out loud, you know? I mean, there's a couple names on that list that we could definitely go without.
He had a great run in Colorado, but he was never the same with.
He's not a Hall of Famer, though.
No, I agree. I mean, it's like what I said. It's like I spelled Troy wrong. He had a great run in Colorado, but once he got over to Toronto and then
Did you
the
just say you spelled Troy wrong?
Yeah, I used the U instead of a Y. It wasn't intentional, you stupid fuck.
I was just gonna say there's not only you gotta spell that one out, sir.
Troy Tulowitzki.
Oh, that's good stuff.
I'll tell you Troy Tulowitzki's career numbers. Okay, he played we're gonna call it basically 11 years because he had a gap in 2018 because of injuries, and then he played 5 games for the Yankees in 2019 because of his injuries. Did he even get a hit with the Yankees at that time? He got a home run. Okay, I guess we'll count it. Troy Tulowitzki finished his career with a 290 batting average, an 856 OPS, which is pretty goddamn good. 225 home runs, 780 RBIs. With Toronto, his 3 years in Toronto, his 2nd year was his best year. A 254 average, a 761 OPS, a 24 home runs, 79 RBIs. But he was never an MVP. He always had one of the best gloves in baseball. He idolized Derek Jeter, but what could have been a spectacular career, Zachary, was derailed because of injuries.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's I mean, still a hell of a baseball player. I just find it funny to have his name on that list. I feel like that he just caught a stray for no reason right there because he actually even did nothing wrong as a Blue Jay either.
Troy Tulowitzki was a fantastic fantastic shortstop for a good period of time. Adam Jones wasn't ever like one of the best center fielders of baseball. I don't know why his name's on the list.
Yeah,
He's a
that's
great player,
exactly.
wrong. And he has one of the greatest moments in World Baseball Classic history, robbing Manny Ramirez, but it wasn't anything spectacular, man.
No.
Any other players you'd like to talk about before we get into the 3 that were elected, Zachary?
No, not really. We can get right into those 3 there. I mean, I guess sorry, maybe you mentioned Pedroia. Are there any names that are on that list that like maybe are a decent bit far away, but you can see definitely are going to be Hall of Famers at some point? You already mentioned Pedroia, like I said, but any other names you see there that are jumping off the page?
Well, Andrew Jones has 2 years left. Beltran's going to get in. As far down this list here, I don't know, because Jimmy Rollins isn't getting a lot of track. Felix Hernandez will get there. He's at 20.6%. He'll get there. Manny and A-Rod. Manny's in his last season next year. Manny, A-Rod, and Andy Pettitte will never get in because of steroids. And it's a shame because Andy Pettitte is one of the best postseason pitchers of all time. Say what you want about his regular season numbers. When it came to the postseason, there was no one else you want to give the ball to in that Yankees rotation unless his name is Andy Pettitte. Manny Ramirez and A-Rod speak of themselves. They are generational talents. A-Rod was good before he took steroids. Manny Ramirez was good before he took steroids. But they did what they did. And because the writers are old geriatric fucks who haven't have any sort of death fucking experience anytime soon, they're never going to get into the Hall of Fame because steroids are a competitive advantage. And I know that everyone says you still have to hit the baseball, but the problem is, Zach, is everybody that makes the MLB, even when they're bench players, they have hand-eye coordination that the average human doesn't have. That's why there's such a small percentage of people that have made to Major League Baseball. Ask your friend Johnny. There's a reason why he's doing Gate 14 and he's not in MLB. Damn it, yep. Johnny was probably a really, really good baseball player, but he wasn't great. You know, there are people that are great baseball players that are playing in MLB for a reason, even if they're a hack on the bench. So they have that coordination that a lot of people don't have. And when you put steroids in to gain muscle mass, to give you a stronger body, you're going to fucking make some things happen. The thing with A-Rod, Zach, he finished with 696 career home runs. If he hadn't gotten suspended for a whole season like he did for steroids, we're talking about this guy chasing Babe Ruth and Barry Bonds. He would have passed, he would, Hank Aaron and Barry Bonds. He would have passed Babe Ruth. He would have.
How many home runs did Babe Ruth have?
714. A-Rod had 696 when he was suspended for a whole year. I believe he was still in his prime. I believe it was 2013. Let me see. Alex Rodriguez.
I mean, you just shouldn't be doing steroids, Robert. It's just not a very good look.
He got suspended for the 2014 season. The season after, he was 39 years old. So he was 38 when he got suspended. When he was 39 years old, in 2015, he had 33 home runs and 86 RBIs. This guy led the league in WAR 6 times, Zachary. You remember what the WAR statistic means?
No, I don't, to be honest with you.
Wins above replacements.
I didn't remember that. As you're saying,
his numbers, Zach, 8.5. So 8 wins, 10.4, 8.8, 8.4, 9.4, 9.4. This guy was a war machine, bro. But steroids will be out of the Hall of Fame.
That'll put a bit of a damper on you.
And the way that he handled the situation too, and the way that he bashed the Yankees, it's unfortunate because he's one of the all-time Yankee greats. His number 13 will never get retired. We've had people like Joey Gallo and now Jazz Chisholm use his number when realistically, I see them using that number, I'm like, that should be fucking retired. It should be retired. But it won't be. The other 3 people, let's get to them. So Billy Wagner, Zach, do you have any familiarity with Billy Wagner?
I can't say I do. I like the name, though.
Billy Wagner was a left-handed closing pitcher. He had a flamethrower of an arm. This guy was hitting 100 miles an hour before it was popular as a closer. Never led the league in saves, but the most saves he ever had in the season was in 2003 with Houston with 44. He finished his career with 422 saves. In 903 innings pitched, he had 1,196 strikeouts. So the K per 9, if they have that number here, here it is 11.9. Although he's never going to go 9 innings because he was a closer, it's still fantastic. He finishes with a 47-40 win-loss. His ERA is a 2.31. In his final year with Atlanta, with the Braves, he was an all-star. He had 37 saves and a 1.43 ERA. He had pitched for the Astros, the Phillies, the Mets, and the Red Sox in 2009, Mets and Red Sox, and then finished his career in Atlanta. Now, this guy you're familiar with.
And now he's a Hall of Famer.
Yes, and this guy you're familiar with, CC Sabathia, Zachary. Now, what year do you think you'd say you really start paying attention to baseball?
Probably the year like when the Jays became pretty good, like that Bautista bat flip year. Was that 2015?
Okay. So when you were watching CC, you didn't get to see CC at his dominant self because in 2015 he went 6-10. I believe he had the alcohol problem then. 2016 he went 9-12. 2017 he spent the offseason with Andy Pettit. CC was a thrower. He wasn't a pitcher. Pettit taught him how to be a pitcher. He finished the season with a 14-5 record, 9-7, and 5-8. And the thing that you should know about CC, Zachary, is he literally pitched until he couldn't pitch anymore. In 2019, in the ALCS against the Houston Astros, his last pitch he threw, he injured himself, and he already was thinking about retirement, but at that point, it was known that he was going to be done for his career. But when you look at CC's numbers with Cleveland, and I would say from 2009 to 12 with the Yankees, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball. This dude, it was hard hitting him with that combination, that fastball slider combo. He is a Cy Young winner. He's a 6-time All-Star. He is the MVP for the Yankees in the ALCS in 2009, and he's a World Series champion.
It's a pretty good resume right there.
Now, in case you didn't know,
him being a bit of a chunky bastard on that mound.
Well, one of the things that really also ruined his career was he tried to lose all the weight, and when he lost all the weight, he wasn't able to throw as hard, so people were able to rock him. You know, he might try to live a healthier lifestyle. He might try things different, but then he realized he didn't feel comfortable on the mound, so he gained all the weight. Now that he's retired, he went back to losing all the weight, and he's in fantastic shape. He's a good ambassador for the game of baseball. His stories was his way of training for baseball was in his grandmother's backyard. They had a grapefruit tree, and he would throw grapefruits. That was his way of training for baseball. He grew up in California. He had intentions on signing, I believe he said, with the Angels in 2009 until a last-minute pitch by the New York Yankees got him to come over to finish his career with the New York Yankees, and he's an ambassador for the New York Yankees.
Well, stick taps for you, CC.
All right, last player we have to talk about here, Zachary. The great
Japanese sensation.
Ichiro Suzuki. Now, with his time spent in Japan and MLB, if we were to combine the numbers, he would have surpassed Pete Rose for the most hits in baseball history.
Bob, thank you very much, Bob. It's probably the nicest thing your dad's ever said to me.
I agree. Now, what is your familiarity with Ichiro, Zachary? Do you have any sort of familiarity with him?
The only thing I'm familiar is that video. I think when he hit his 3,000th hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I just know that the guy was just one of the best. We're not talking about a power hitter by any stretch of the means, but we're talking about just a guy that could belt a fucking baseball. And we'll call him the single machine is what I'll call him, Robbie. I mean, you want to get a leadoff hit, you want to put a guy on base, put Suzuki up there, he'll get the job done.
Yeah, and he'll steal second.
Yeah.
In his first season in 2001, that was the year the Mariners had the best regular season in MLB history. He finished with this was his rookie year. A 350 average with 381 on base and a 457 slug and 830 OPS, which the OPS numbers won't be too high because he's a contact hitter. He led the league in hits with 242. He had 34 doubles, 8 triples, 8 home runs. Ready for this? 69 RBIs and 56 stolen bases.
I like the 69 RBIs.
That year, he won both Rookie of the Year and MVP. I don't know if he's the only person to do that to MLB history, but he's definitely one of the few listed on that landmark. He led the league in hits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. 242, 262, 224, 238, 213, 225, 214. And once he finished with 214, he never got back in the 200s for the hit column again. His best stolen base in a single season was his rookie year, where he had 56 stolen bases. He finished his career with 509 of them. Finished his career with a 311 average, 3,089 hits, 96 triples, 509 stolen bases. One of the best arms, consistently in the MVP category. The only player in MLB history to hit an inside the park home run in the MLB All-Star game. Generational talent for sure. And I don't know if you've seen videos to this day. This guy could still throw and hit a baseball.
Well, it's like riding a bike, Robert. Once you figure it out, you always pick it back up. But, I mean, definitely, even as a guy that wasn't a big baseball fan back in the day, you know who Suzuki was.
Mm-hmm. I believe the history with him is that he was a right-handed hitter, and his dad talked him into becoming a left-hand hitter so he can get out of the box quicker because of his speed. So if he's hitting 3,000 hits from left side, I can only imagine what the fuck he was doing from his comfortable side on the right side of the plate.
It is a goddamn mystery. But
those are Hall of Famers. I don't know what the bracket's going to look like next year for first-year eligibility players, but Ichiro and CC are the only ones on their first year to get elected. So Manny Ramirez, I think, is the only one next year on his 10th and final year on the ballot. He will not make it. A-Rod's got years to go, and I think the more that A-Rod works in the media, he could try to sweet talk his way to the Hall of Fame. He kind of plays off very genuine with the, listen, I know my mistakes from growing up are going to keep me out of the Hall of Fame, and I've accepted that. He plays that role, and I think he does it honorably because he understands that he fucked up. But we'll see what happens next year. Hopefully we can get Andrew Jones in there because he deserves to be in there.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens, as Robbie just said, but, the steroids might play a bit of a factor in that, Robbie. But we're not necessarily done with the baseball news here, Robbie, because we do have some signings to go over, and by the love of God, the Toronto Blue Jays have done something, Robert. And no, I'm not talking about acquiring minor leaguer, essentially, Miles Straw from the Cleveland Guardians on Friday. No. I'm talking about the Jays bringing in pretty much what I've been asking for this team to bring in is a nice middle-of-the-rotation bat that can belt you some home runs, get you a little bit more power, and that is Mr. Anthony Santander from the Baltimore Ravens, Jesus Christ, Baltimore Orioles. I got football in my mind, folks. Jay's bringing him in on a 5-year, $92.5 million deal. Obviously, you're getting a power hitter here with Santander. You're not going to be getting a high average per se, but you're going to get a guy that's going to hit around 250. If he has a great year, 35 to 40 home runs is not out of the equation by any stretch of the matter. And honestly, I like the pickup here, Robbie. It's we miss out on the big guys here, obviously, again. We're going to get into another guy in a little bit. Who else we missed on was the Japanese pitcher, Roshi Sasaki. You can wonder where he chose to go.
Yeah, again.
But I am happy with Santander, Robbie. It's a guy that I've had to watch hit home runs inside Rogers Center, being a division opponent for the last 7-8 years, whatever the fuck it's been. So it'll be nice to see him hit the home runs on my side of the team here, Robbie. But what do you think this does for the Jays here?
Well, it gets him a needed bat because Vladdy was statistically the only bat in the lineup last year. George Springer wasn't anything exceptional. Bo Bichette was catastrophically terrible. Alejandro Kirk hasn't been the same since that one season. I think that it all depends on how he's also going to adapt to the stadium. Because granted, I believe he's a switch hitter. Let me just make sure on that. He's a switch hitter. And, from the right-hand side, he had to deal with the wall being all the way out to the fucking Atlantic Pacific Ocean, whichever one it is. I believe it's the Atlantic. They're moving that wall in because they signed a lot of right-handed bats, and they already said, yeah, we're moving that wall back in. It was a stupid decision from the start to make it the way that they did. They literally made that wall the way that they did it because of the Yankees, because of Stanton, Judge, and Gleyber Torres. You're probably sitting there saying Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres, for some reason, used to love mashing against the Baltimore Orioles. So, Zach, you're hoping that he could bring his damn near average of a 250 batting average. It's a 246 career average. Last year was his best statistical season in terms of home runs. He had 44 of them with 102 RBIs and a loaded Baltimore Orioles offense featuring Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Ryan Mountcastle. So we'll see what he could produce over there in Toronto. I don't know what position he's going to end up playing. I don't know if it's going to be outfield, if it's going to be designated hitter. He's a right fielder, but I believe that spot is occupied for George Springer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not really too sure where he's going to be playing on the defensive side of the ball, Robbie, but I am just happy that at least we're trying to fur up. The offense the last 2 years has been absolutely it's just been pitiful. It's been terrible. It's been tough to watch. So it'll be nice to fucking have a little bit of a backbone here in the middle of our rotation here, Robbie. But like I said, it
doesn't strike out too much neither, which is a positive point too. He doesn't strike out a lot.
Yeah, but I'll be more excited when I start seeing these numbers produce.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But Robbie, there is one team I would like to really discuss here, and it's this Dodgers team, Robbie. This to me is getting a little bit out of hand. So you get the jump on the 23-year-old Japanese sensation Rossi Sasaki to close out your 5 pitching rotations, and then just when it matters, you think, okay, these guys must be done. You go and you sign Tanner Scott to a deal, 4 years, $72 million. I believe they signed Kirby Yates to a deal today or last night as well too. Just to add into that, I know Kirby Yates is a little bit older, but still a little bit of game left. I believe they're now close to $1.4 billion in deferred payments, Robbie.
Mm-hmm.
When does this stop? When does
collective bargaining agreement? The next collective bargaining agreement.
Because there has to be rules that have to be made here. Like, this is getting fucking ridiculous now. I'm all for having deferred contracts, whatever, but there needs to be a certain percentage that you need to meet. You can't have. I know what happened last year. You can't have Shohei Ohtani making $2 million a year and $68 million of it deferred. That to me is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, this is what's to be expected. I mean, we all saw this coming. Essentially, the Ohtani one made sense when we saw them do it with Blake Snell. We're like, here we go. This is where it's gonna fucking happen. The Dodgers rotation is gonna be a fucking frightening one to look at, Zachary. Their rotation next year. I don't know who the ace is gonna be, but you have Yamamoto, Sasaki, Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, Shohei Ohtani. Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow were aces for their own respective teams. Ohtani was the ace for the Angels. Yamamoto and Sasaki, I mean, Jesus fuck, dude. And they still have
Yamamoto
come back from injury. They still have Gonsolin. This team is fucking loaded.
It's me. It's making baseball kind of a joke of a sport, though. Like the teams of the Dodgers are doing shit like this.
But the difference between the Yankees and the Dodgers, the deferrals were nothing like what the Dodgers are doing. That's how the Dodgers are doing this.
But even just being like even if I'm a free agent now, it just seems like, okay, let's go win a title, let's go to the Dodgers. Like, it just seems like such a cop out fucking move, which I can't blame them. I mean, if I'm in a guy's position,
if you think about it, Zach, let's look through most teams across all sports. Hockey, you can name off hockey ones you know better than me. NFL, NBA, and MLB. Okay.
Yeah.
The Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving. Blake Griffin comes in. DeAndre Jordan is a part of the team. LaMarcus Aldridge is a part of the team. Jeff Green is the part of the team. All these guys, Patty Mills is part of the team. All these guys are like respected assets come to, the Nets are loaded. They're going to win a championship. They didn't win shit. They didn't win a single championship. I go back to the early 2010s with the Eagles, who had one of the best rosters listed on paper. They were called the Dream Team, and they missed the playoffs. Look at the New York Jets this year. The Jets with Devontae Adams, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, CJ Mosley. They didn't perform the expectations whatsoever, neither. I'm not saying that the Dodgers aren't going to win the division. I think
you didn't mention Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I think that's a given. The Dodgers will win the division, but it's about the dog in the fight. You know what I mean? So it's like, if they go up against a team that's hungry like the Padres, who came this close, they were the closest team. They were closer than the Mets and the Yankees to eliminating them. It could be a serious problem they face down the road in the playoffs. It's a whole different ballgame.
I just think that the baseball gods are going to be on our side, Robbie, and something's going to implode on that team. That's what we got to hope.
But the thing is like, if Sasaki gets hurt, they could put Gonsolin in. If Blake Snell or Glasnow get hurt, they could throw in Dustin May when he comes back from injury.
Yeah, they got backups here.
They have a long list of backups. So we'll see. And then the other signing too, Zach, I don't know if you want to bring that up as well. Well, first, before we do that, would you like to talk about losing out on a second Japanese player?
I no, because I knew this one was going to happen, Robbie. I mean, the second I found out that this, first of all, it wasn't even like okay, yeah, it would have been nice to have
It
him.
happened again. It happened again. It came down to you and the Dodgers again.
And the Padres. At least this time there was a third team in there.
The Padres were cut. It came down to the Blue Jays and the Dodgers were the final two teams. The Padres were not interested. It came down to the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. You're not talking. Your mic is muted. You must have unplugged your thing. Oh, poor Zach.
Hello?
You're back.
Is it coming through here? I think it just said it disconnected from my mic. Didn't even unplug.
Your microphone.
Well, she's working now.
She is.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, but no, Robbie, I saw this one coming. I mean, just what happens. You know, you felt like that Japanese connection was going to happen in Los Angeles there with the Shohei Ohtans. So when Mr. Sasaki decided not to come with us, I said, you know what, buddy? You can go fuck right off then. That's what I said to him. Plus, you know what? The guy's 23. He's never pitched a second of MLB. He could come in and be shit next year for all we know. Is that breaking news?
It is breaking news. And it comes out of the NBA. The Phoenix Suns and the Utah Jazz have agreed on a trade.
Uh-oh.
The Phoenix Suns, and this is big for the trade deadline that's upcoming soon, so now they're trying to use some draft capital. The Phoenix Suns are trading their 2031 first-round pick to the Utah Jazz, which is unprotected, which is 6 years from now. Kevin Durant won't be in the NBA probably anymore. Don't know what the status of Devin Booker is going to be, and Bradley Beal and them haven't been panned out whatsoever. They are trading their 2031 first-round pick to the Utah Jazz for 3 first-round picks, sources tell ESPN. The Suns are acquiring the least favorable first from Utah Jazz, so they'll not begin the Jazz first-round picks. These 3 first-round picks that they are acquiring is the 2025 Cleveland/Minnesota. I believe there's a pick swap in that. I don't know. 2027 of Cleveland, Minnesota, and Utah. 2029 of Cleveland, Minnesota, and Utah. So essentially what I'm seeing here, the Jazz are stockpiling picks. And I think, or not the Jazz, the Suns are stockpiling picks. And it looks like they're going to do whatever they can to bring in Jimmy Butler to Phoenix.
God damn, well, that's a pretty big move. It's also a bit of a confusing one, but...
Well, they're going all in. They're going all in. They want to win a championship, and they're going to need some draft picks to do that. Yeah, that's the breaking news I had to break before. What the hell is this? Yeah, it's breaking news I had to break.
I got nothing else for baseball, Robbie. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to discuss, or did you want to maybe get into divisional NFL weekend?
I would love to, but we still got to talk about Tanner Scott because that's another one for the Dodgers.
Oh, yes.
They got the best closer in baseball.
Which just makes total sense, right? I mean, why not?
It's insane. I believe he was going to become a Giant or a Padre, and then I believe Glasnow talked to him to coming back to the Dodgers.
Well, I mean, I know you said that it's going to have to all work out for them, but they're well on their way to a back-to-back championship, Robbie. They're going to be a better team coming into this season than they were last year, and they were already the best team last year. So, I mean, it's going to be an uphill battle for any team that has to face them in the playoffs.
And they also made another signing today too, Zach. They signed Kirby Yates, who went 7-2 last season. I believe he's I don't know if he was a closer last year. He might have been the closer for the fucking Texas Rangers. Hold on, Kirby Yates.
That's what I was saying in the thing. In my little preview of him.
Oh, what the fuck?
That's what he said. He's a bit older, but he still got some game left in him, Mr. Yates.
Yeah, Yates is 37. Last season, he had 33 saves and a 1.17 ERA. Oh, my fucking God. Jesus Christ. My God.
It doesn't seem fair. It does not seem fair.
Scott? How old is Tanner Scott? He was he got traded to the Padres last year. He was from the Miami Marlins. Tanner Scott, let's see. Tanner Scott, dick face. He had a 9-6 record between the Marlins and the Padres last year. A 1.75 ERA in 72 innings pitched, 84 strikeouts, and he combined for 41 saves. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? And he's going to be 30 next year, and he signed a 4-year contract.
So he's coming into his prime.
Oh,
nice.
My fucking God, dude. It's unbelievable. I want to see what the deferral money and so this offseason, Zach, they had a very, 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 very active offseason.
They've been the most active team after coming off a championship. They've signed Blake Snell, Tanner Scott, Roshi Sasaki. I know there's other names I'm missing. Those are just the 3 big names I can think of right off the bat.
Blake Snell, Sasaki, Tanner Scott, Michael Conforto, Hai-Sung Kim, re-signed Teoscar Hernandez, re-signed Blake Treinen, extended Tommy Edman. And then you could add Kirby Yates onto there.
Yeah. And like I said, I think I saw a thing. They're like 1.39 or something, a fucking billion, $1.39 billion worth of deferrals now. Or maybe 1.44. It was an incredible number.
Let's see. Dodgers. We listen here on Twitter somewhere.
I tried to find it.
Let me type in deferral. Deferral. Let's see.
Dodgers.
Yeah, they have over $1 billion. 1.37 billion in deferrals for the Dodgers. 1.37.
Yeah. Okay, there it is. I mean, just absolutely incredible.
You know what I would do for $1.37 billion? There's a lot of things I would do for $1.37 billion.
Well, that's yeah. I would do some pretty dirty, disgusting stuff myself, Robert.
Yeah.
But what do you...
Let's get to it. Let's get into divisional weekend, Zachary. Let's get to
us. Sue us, bitch. Sue these big fat tits.
Beer number 2 is done.
Robbie's pounding today. Obviously, I'm sticking off the piss today, folks, because today's my first day since Sunday that I haven't been shivering to death. So that means we're on the road to recovery here, Robbie. But we're down to 4 teams remaining. This always bothers. Not the type of piss I'm talking about. Jeez Louise. I am off the piss, meaning I'm off the alcohol right now. Not feeling too good. Ploof, how are ya?
I love Plouf's signature entrance. It's just beautiful.
I like that there.
It's who Plouf is.
Blunt. But Robbie, let's start this off here. First game of the divisional weekend. Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Houston Texans. I don't know if you remember, Robbie, but I did pick the Houston Texans to win this game, and I was wrong, Robert. I was not correct. The Chiefs take this one down
I think you wanted to keep your predictability alive with them going to the Super Bowl, and I think you were just blinded by that. But Zach, I'm not going to cut you off. I'll talk after.
Well, I'm just going to say 23 for the Chiefs, 14 for the Texans. Then you're probably right. I had picked the Texans at the beginning of the season to make it to the finals, the Super Bowl. I mean, let's be honest here, Robbie. Even if they were able to stay healthy, it might not have been very much of a different situation because the Chiefs just seem to get this shit done.
Yes, it would have. The passing game would have been significantly more open with either Tank Dell or Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, they probably would have gotten about 35 more calls in their favor, though. The NFL would have found a way to make sure the Chiefs win this game, just like they do every single time.
The officiating for that game was some of the worst officiating that I've ever seen, and I want to play this clip here of the Texans star defensive end, Will Anderson, talking about the officiating, and then I'll also load up D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud. This is what Will Anderson had to say.
He's kept this organization, this team, all year, man. He has blessed us and favored us tremendously, man. And I just got to give all glory to him. And we knew it was going to be us against the refs going into this game. And, I talked to you guys early this week. And I was just saying, like, man, we got to go out there and we got to do us better. And, in some instances we didn't do that, some instances we did. So we just got to keep going, man. Next offseason, get the guys together, man. And, everybody just coming together and just keep building that team chemistry and get past this hump.
Will D'Amico was asked post-game, comparatively speaking, keep like the Chiefs Ravens.
I think that's it.
Well, I mean, that might catch him a bit of a fine, but which is kind of stupid because he didn't really say anything bad, but we knew it was going to be us against the refs. It's just like a fucking pure, like, oh, yep, the Chiefs news is known league-wide. But I guess to give the Chiefs credit where credit's due, Robbie, they do, in fact, get the
No,
Bengals
I'm not going
victory.
to give credit because you know how many fucking. Listen, I like Patrick Mahomes. Before I get into Patrick Mahomes, you know this new rule of a hip drop tackle? It's not a hip drop tackle.
Seems hip-droppy to me.
And there's no flag. None. Zach, listen, I know that I'm going to be a little biased, obviously, because of my Patriots. I think this is some of the worst officiating we've ever seen in history. In history for any team in their favor. It's fucking ridiculous.
Now, I will agree with you, but I also did see a roughing the passer call today that was on Tom Brady when he was facing the Chiefs where Chris Jones slapped him in the middle of the chest and got a roughing the pass call. So I think you were a little bit lucky with some of the play calls. And I'm not saying it was as bad as this because what we're seeing now is horrific, but it seems like the NFL, they latch on to these quarterbacks and they just take their cocks and they suck them right down to the balls just to keep them happy and keep them with a smile on their face, Robbie. It was, and I'm not saying it was Tom Brady's whole career because the first probably 12 years of Tom Brady's career, he had potential to get his head taken off day in and day out because that's how football used to be played back in the day. Okay?
If I was going to bring this up when he was done.
I agree with Plouffe there. I'm just saying over the last maybe 6-7 years of his career, he definitely got a lot more calls than the average quarterback. However, we're seeing this from Patrick Mahomes, start of his career. So this guy is going to be a hated quarterback. And you know what sucks for Patrick Mahomes is he probably does have the skill to go out there and win these Super Bowls, but it's always going to get looked down upon him just because these refs are just horrific with the fucking calls in regards to this Kansas City Chiefs team. Like, it's just getting embarrassing now, to be honest with you, to watch.
Okay, so we have a video here of Joe Mixon on the officiating in that game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Here's Joe Mixon, who's dealt with it with the Bengals and now with the Texans.
Everybody know how it is playing up here. You can never leave it into the refs' hands. But I mean, the whole world see, man, like what it is, bro. But it is what it is. Like I said, when it comes down to it, you can't never leave it into the refs' hands, man, and things like that. But it's all good, though.
It's all good. Well, you can definitely see that these guys are not fans of how the refs scored that game, Robert, or ref that game, rather. But at the end of the day, the Chiefs do get the job done. They move on, and they have a task of either Baltimore or Buffalo. You'll be finding out later on in the show, which I'm sure you guys already know because you don't live under a rock.
Of course. Here's CJ Stroud.
Yeah, those things are tough. I'm not going to go back and forth on what I thought was a call, what I thought wasn't a call, and it's one of those things you kind of know what's up before you even walk in the arena. And we got to be better and just being accountable and sound. And, some things, I think we had a couple calls that weren't called that I'm begging for, but at the same time, it is what it is. Like I can't argue with the ref and at the same time play football. I got to go and do my job. So, I would say, it's definitely some things that I would question, but at the same time, they're the professionals. They're getting paid to be refs, and they did ultimately their best. And but this kind of thing, it's us against the world. When you're playing in these type of environments and games.
Zach, I'm going to go back to week 2, and the reason why I'm going to go back to week 2 is because of the refs getting involved with the Bengals and the Chiefs. Jamar Chase was frustrated, what should have been a hip drop tackle on him, and they didn't call it, and he ran his mouth, and it might have been a little too much, and they blow the flag, and it's a 15-yard penalty, and in a drive that could have been, it was third and short, third and long, and they settled for the field goal. They could have gotten a first down potentially, and continue will never know because it was third and short. Then to follow it up, in the late part of the game, a close call, but in this game like that, you let it play on. They throw the flag. It's pass interference. It sets up the Chiefs field goal. The Bengals aren't in the playoffs because of said call. This has been an ongoing problem all year with the Kansas City Chiefs. They are arguably, we said it ourselves. They are the worst 15-2 team we've seen with our own very eyes. A lot of the games that they won was because of referees and the luck of the goalpost. I am praying that the next opponent they face, which we'll talk about in a little bit, takes them down. I am a big Patrick Mahomes fan. My prediction of them not going to the AFC Championship game was wrong, and that's not why I want them to lose. I'm tired of the bullshit with these referees. Clay Martin, who was the head official for this game, and with that win that they had against the Houston Texans with Clay Martin as the referee, they're now 7-0. And that's not like a speculation thing, because if you look in the NBA, when Scott Foster is officiating games against Chris Paul has a significant losing record. If you haven't learned anything from the Tim Donaghy situation in the NBA, which is out on Netflix, you need to go watch it now, because referees do hold grudges. They say that they're human, but they're really not. Most of them really aren't. It's becoming to look like more and more every year, Zachary, that the NFL is rigged. I hate to say it. They need a conversation, just like the NBA. They need the conversation between LeBron and Michael Jordan, who's the GOAT. In the NFL, they need the conversation between Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, who's the GOAT. But here's the thing with me, and of course I'm biased. Tom Brady's taken down that motherfucker twice, in the AFC Championship game and in the Super Bowl. The only person to take him down in the AFC Championship game, the only person was Joe Burrow alongside Tom Brady. The only person to take him down in the Super Bowl was Tom Brady. So if you ever ask me, Mahomes can get 7 rings, he can get 8 rings. Hell, he can get 10 rings. You lost to a 40-year-old Tom Brady.
If he gets 10 rings, Robbie, there is no debate. He is the greatest of all time. Don't even be an idiot.
Incorrect. Taylor Swift and the referees. It's ridiculous.
Well, we're not going to have that debate because he ain't going to win 10. But if he has 10, there's no debate.
I don't know.
Who you
it looks like you're going to go back to back to back because the officiating is in their fucking favor. Every fucking year.
Well, Robbie, before you pop a blood vessel, why don't we continue going on with the next game here on our list? And that is the Philadelphia Eagles. Actually, sorry, was that Sunday's game? My apologies.
It's the Lions and
yep. I went down, not to the right here. Next game on the list, Washington.
After this week, I am drinking.
Washington Commanders going into Detroit to play the Lions, Robbie, in the upset of the weekend. The Washington Commanders knock off, who a lot of people, including myself, had this team possibly winning the Super Bowl this year, Robbie. Too many injuries on the defensive side, though, really fucked them up later on in the year. Commanders 45, the Detroit Lions 31. Who the fuck saw the Washington Commanders competing in the NFC Championship game, Robbie? Over 12,000 days since they've last been in an NFC Championship game.
If you honestly believe the Detroit Lions should fire Dan Campbell after 14-2 squad suffered a rough loss in the playoffs, you should never be allowed to watch football again. I agree.
Who the fuck is saying that?
Probably Lions fans that were pissed in the moment.
Oh my God.
Zach, I mean, it was evident. You saw it in that game. Their defense is derailed with injuries. You can't blame Aaron Glenn. Like, everyone's like, this should take a hit towards Aaron Glenn getting a head coaching job. I disagree, dude.
Aaron Glenn had a fucking Division II college roster playing defense for him out there, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah. They were going back and forth with practice squad players. I mean, they just got the bad end of the stick, and I think it's something they should look at with their turf. Same thing with MetLife, because a lot of the fields were sustained at home. They tried everything. They literally were trying everything that they could do, Zach, and unfortunately, it just didn't happen. They tried everything. They were trying trick plays, anything that they could possibly do. But in the end, the offense did the majority of their job. And I know you're going to look at the turnover differential with Jared Goff. A lot of those throws that were interceptions he had to make. He had to make an attempt. It's one of those desperation moments. Jared Goff played a great game. Jahmyr Gibbs was awesome. The only blunder I'd say that they have was that throw made by Jamison Williams. And that could be a Ben Johnson problem. Because if that's the case, if the throw's not there, run it or throw it away. And I don't know if that information was handed off to Jameson. I don't know if it was a throw in any situation. We'll never know. But the play resulted in an interception, and that's what ultimately ended the Lions season.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tough pill to swallow if you're Lions and Lions fans, because this was definitely a year where it seems like if you're able to stay healthy and everything's going to align, this is a year that you could have won a Super Bowl. But I mean, unfortunately, you get the rookie magic happening here in Washington, and I like the little point that Bob just made there. With that victory now since 1996, every team in the NFC East has made the conference championship, except for Bob's Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I was hoping we were going to hold off on that.
Well, Bob put it in himself.
Yeah, I know. I was just hoping we were going to hold on to that after we were done talking about it with the Commanders. Here's Dan Campbell after the loss.
What they put into it, a lot of people don't know, what they go through. You have to get up. Bodies beat to and, mentally stay locked in and do those things.
I was thinking about Campbell, though, and we just played this clip.
I didn't know that was going to be an NFL Network thing. We'll get fucking suspended for that, so I'm going to stop that right there. But Dan Campbell basically was crying up a storm, letting everybody know that it's his fault.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's his fault, but
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, it's just you're the head coach. You got to take the fucking beating on the back, I guess. And I mean, the guy's done a hell of a job with the Detroit Lions. We were talking about a team that was completely irrelevant for years and years and years and years. But
hey, I got the rape video. I'll let you finish your point. I'll play the video.
Well, my point's pretty much done. Let's see this puppy.
Okay, this is the rape video.
When you lose these games, man, it's like the players,
Damn.
What they put into it, a lot of people don't know, what they go through. You have to get up. Bodies beat to shit and, mentally stay locked in and do those things. So, long season. It's my fault.
Yeah.
It's my fault.
He's right about that. Fourth down for the Washington Commanders. I mean, the broadcast booth was pointing out that they had 12 men in the field. The Lions had the touchdowns, but with the amount of time left in the game and the score, they were trying to communicate the best they could, but it's kind of hard to do that when you have one of the loudest stadiums in the NFL. A timeout should have been called there, so they could have put the 11-man on the field. He's correct. That is his fault. But again, when you're consistently going through players all the way into the playoffs that have no familiarity, essentially, with the coordination of the defense, I mean, this is going to end up happening, the miscommunication call. So they had 12 men in the field, and it's an automatic first down for Washington. And I'm not sitting here trying to make excuses for Washington, Zachary, because at the end of the day, this is a team that's with a rookie quarterback, with a whole new defense, with a whole new coaching staff, a whole first-year coaching staff aligned together with Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, and whoever the fuck the defensive coordinator is. And they went into Detroit, and they dominated. I'm not here trying to make excuses for the Detroit Lions. All I'm saying is it could have been a lot different if they had Aiden Hutchinson and all the other guys that suffer these injuries on that field. They lost their best defensive edge, defensive player in general. They lost their best corner, their best safety, and it showed. It's been showing for a while. They did great against the Minnesota Vikings by holding them to 9 points, and you figure off the bye week, maybe they carry some momentum, but maybe in a situation where you don't have the best players on the field, maybe those defensive players need those reps, and maybe that bye week hurt them at the end. But in the end, they lose. Their season is over, and they're going to be probably without both coordinators. And it's very sad to see, because I think America is rooting for the Detroit Lions. They're a great story. They have a great head coach who came out and said, we're going to take a knee off, and when you come down with your arm, we're going to take an arm off. He came with this dog mentality, and for them to lose and not make to the NFC Championship game is a gut punch like no other. Yeah. And I don't know how they're going to go into next season. They have to make a splash of a move. And the splash of the move that I'm thinking, Zachary, they need to do whatever it takes to bring in Max Crosby.
Well, I mean, I can't see it being that much to poach him. I guess obviously to acquire him would take a lot, but I can't see Max Crosby being the happiest guy on earth playing for this fucking Raiders team that's kind of a dog shit squad year in and year out. So might as well go compete for a Super Bowl with a team like the Lions. And you made a mention that they're probably going to be going in next season with 2 different coordinators. Well, we know Ben Johnson will be returning, Robbie.
Yep.
He is joining the Chicago Bears as their head coach. What did you say?
There's an. I was just reading off that they was gonna go to the Bears. The thing I'm reading here is breaking news that is talking about the Jets, although it's not confirmed yet, so I'm not going to talk about it.
Bam, bam. Well, Robbie, what do you say we move on? We got 2 more games to discuss here in football. What do you say we slap on?
Before we do, can we talk a little bit about Washington and like how impressive Bobby Wagner was as a veteran and how impressive Jaden Daniels was in that game? Jaden Daniels, for a rookie quarterback, looks like he's been this year for 7 years the way he's been playing, Zach.
He does look very, very good.
Jaden Daniels is so comfortable. He doesn't look like he's getting rushed. He doesn't look worried. He knows what he's doing ahead before anybody else knows. It's insane. Jaden Daniels.
You like to see it too from.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say. All I was gonna say is you love to see it from a rookie quarterback. So continue.
He finished with 350 total purpose yards, 51 rushing, 299 passing, 2 touchdowns. Brian Robinson had 15 carries for 77 yards and 2 tutties. Terry McLaurin had a couple of big catches, 4 for 87 with a tutty. Zach Ertz also had a tutty. Dwame Brown had 6 receptions for 98.
Dwame. That's a hell of a name right there. I mean, this Washington team is going to be good for years, Robbie, especially when you get a quarterback like this. You nail a home run right out of the gate. I guess I can't say that so far, but I mean, the first season he's looking fantastic. We'll have to see how the rest of his career goes, but if it's any indication this first year, Robbie, Washington has himself not even a star. They got themselves a superstar quarterback. So, and it does kind of seem like a perfect quarterback for the way that the game is progressing too, because it's one that can throw the ball like an absolute animal, but is also very mobile as well. So, kind of a perfect quarterback for the way this game is going.
It goes to show how hurt they are in defense, Zach, because they had 0 sacks in this game, and their best player, Zadarius Smith, did absolutely nothing. Nothing.
I remember that queer. Sorry.
That's a fucking rude way to say that. Jesus Christ.
Fuck them.
But they lose, Zachary. Their season is over. Washington advances to the NFC Championship. Congratulations to Washington. And like Dad put in the comments, Cowboys. I don't even think it's since 1996. I really think it's because of I really think it's the 21st century, because I think every team in the 21st century has made in the NFC has made to a conference championship game except the Dallas Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys?
All right, there's Robbie's evil laugh here.
I love it.
The next game on our list here, folks, the Los Angeles Rams heading into Philly to face the scumbag Eagles. And Mr. Big Cat from Part of My Take, congratulations. Your pinky finger will be staying on your hand as the Rams have been eliminated from playoff contention. Eagles got the job done 28-22, and we now get an NFC East matchup in the NFC Championship game here, Robbie. Commanders Eagles should be a beautiful game. We'll get more into that on Thursday's episode here, but I mean, Saquon Barkley with another Saquon Barkley game. A lot of snow in here, so I wouldn't expect too much of the throwing yards to happen. Both these games Sunday dealt with a lot of snow here. Played a little bit more of an effect into the second one, Robbie. We'll get into that. But at the end of the day, I think what happened, or what we thought was going to happen in this one here. This Eagles offense is fantastic. Their defense is out of this world good. And they get the job done here, Robbie. I don't really have much more to say about it. The fact that the Giants are the dumbest organization on earth for letting Saquon Barkley leave their team.
Yeah. The second the snow started coming down is when the Rams really started to lose their edge. They were competing. I think at one point they were leading the game, Zach, if I'm not mistaken. They got a safety on Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, honestly, dude, has looked really lost in this postseason. Really lost. Saquon has kind of saved him. I mean, Saquon had 26 carries for 205 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts does not look good in the last 6 weeks. It's concerning. And I really wanted the Rams to win this game for my selfishness, because you figure A.J. Brown be so frustrated he requests a trade. I mean, A.J. Brown only had 2 catches for 14 yards in this game. Their leading catcher was Dallas Goedert with 4 for 56.
Okay, but I mean, you can't really blame throwing in this game. Look at the weather. This was not going to be a throwing game regardless.
Matthew Stafford still had 324 passing yards for someone.
Yeah, but Matthew Stafford is a way, but he's a pure stand in the pocket throw quarterback.
Okay, but Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback. People argue top 5.
I don't even know if I'd say that. No one is arguing Jalen Hurts top 5. That's crazy. I wouldn't even say he's top 10.
Sure they are. There are people that would argue that. I'm not arguing it. There are people that would argue that. Yes, they would. Are you deranged? Are you delusional?
The top 5? I don't think anyone here is having that argument.
Top 5. Are you kidding me? There are definitely
maybe Philadelphia Eagles fans.
Doesn't matter. It's people that are arguing it. I'm sure at one point
deranged Eagles fans.
Top 10 quarterback, I bet.
Yeah, when he was on the Texans, he was a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, and then what happened when he got to Cleveland?
Well, it's a different story, but I'm not deranged enough to have that argument. Just like I'm not deranged enough to put 165-yard per game average fucking Jalen Hurts in the top 5 quarterback conversation.
You were deranged enough to think they were going to make the playoffs or make some sort of effort to make the playoffs this year.
See, now you're turning it on me because you made a stupid comment, and now you know it was a stupid comment, so now you're trying to turn it on me.
Not a top 10 passing quarterback, but, I mean, he's the best when it comes to the tush push. He's very good at running. He's good at finding the end zone when it's throwing or going in for the tush push. It doesn't matter. He's a top 10 quarterback in football, for sure. You don't think he's a top 10 quarterback in football? Could you name
top 10 you can have an argue, but top 5, there's no, I'm not even.
I'm not going to argue top 5, but there are people that are arguing top 5 because I agree with you. I'm not saying he is. I think he's top 10. I don't think he's top 5. There's people that think that he's top 5.
Well, those people smoke a love crack for all of us here.
How about me putting words in your mouth? You put words in my mouth.
No, not really. You said, do people argue him just top 5?
Oh, my God. I just got beat up by the flu. I was fucking fingering my asshole all day.
That doesn't even make any sense. That was just absolutely retarded. Doesn't even make any sense.
Go stick fucking 3 fingers.
You tried.
Cock.
You gave it a shot. I don't know what this up my ass stuff is, you gay queer. What's this coming from? Is that what you do when you're sick? You shove stuff up your ass? We have a little bit of a different thing we do here in Canada. We just rest. Wait, before any more gay comments come on, Robbie, should we just move on to the last game here?
How many times are you going to use the word queer and faggot on this show, you asshole?
I never said faggot once. You are the one that said it.
Okay, well, you've said queer.
Yeah.
Well, Zachary,
the
Rams ending. And we have an NFC East championship matchup. One of the teams from the NFC East, which used to be known as the NFC least, the NFC East will be going to the Super Bowl regardless.
Yep, you got that right. And we're going to hope, at least I'm going to hope it's Washington.
Is back. Trump's America is back, so those words won't be as offensive, maybe.
Just so we're aware, too, Robert, as per statistics this year, Jalen Hurts was the 15th ranked quarterback.
Okay. I still think you not think he's the top 10? I'll take him top 10 easily.
I could say if he is, he's in the 8 to 12 range for me, to be honest with you. He's lost a lot of stock for me over these last couple of years, to be honest with you.
He's top 10.
But, Robert, we can definitely discuss these next 2 quarterbacks here. Both of them are definitely in the top 5.
Yes.
And that is Mr. Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens against Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. And boy, oh boy, do they produce an instant classic with the Buffalo Bills at home, edging out the Baltimore Ravens 27-25 on a muffed 2-point convert by Mr. Mark Andrews. He has a massive fumble and that massive drop in that game to go along Lamar Jackson's massive fumble, Robbie. It just seems like when the Ravens get themselves in these positions and in these games, they beat themselves. It's not like the other team beat them. They do this shit to themselves. And, Robbie, as a Browns fan, nothing puts more of a smile on my face to see stuff like Mark Andrews fumble balls. You think a guy like Mark Andrews would be used to dealing with balls. Get it? I just made a gay joke about him. Just kidding. I actually like Mark Andrews because he was Baker Mayfield's best friend in college. So, Mark Andrews is a nice guy in my books, but he played this one here. I mean, oh, look at that.
Andrews had a drop as well earlier, and for the game to go possibly overtime. And the conditions, the ball's just a little bit short. You got to catch that all day, but your foot slips, and Milano wasn't in on that play, actually. And guess what? He out-leveraged him. Buffalo wasn't prepared for that. What a play call.
I also, absolutely, 1,000,000,000% he should have caught that ball. But the argument that people make, and I think it is a compelling argument, Lamar did short that throw. You had all day to hit him right in the chest and fire it in there.
I mean, okay, I will agree with you on that, but Robbie, he is, regardless if that throw is short or not, you throw him that ball 150 times, he's going to catch that ball 149 times like that, even in that weather. I mean, especially a guy of Mark Andrews' caliber, like that is, we're talking about a future Hall of Famer in the tight end position here.
I agree, but Zach, when you re-look at that angle there, I want to make sure you still have the video there.
Oh, it's not a great throw at all. I'm with you on that.
Look where his body position is as he's trying to go across the goal line. Look at his body position. Let me try to fast forward to the perfect spot.
But right there, Robbie, that 89, that hits him right.
He's down at the 1. If he catches that ball cleanly, he's down at the 1. So if he catches that ball and he's short, then we're talking about Lamar making a bad throw.
But here, go back in this video, because I don't even think I think he fell at that because he slipped.
Andrews had a drop as well earlier, and for the game to go.
Like, look, his foot just slid out there. Like, if that foot doesn't slide there,
the ball's just
he's gonna make that grab. I mean, at the end of the day, to be honest with you, Robbie, the throw was actually kind of perfect, but it's the conditions on the field right there. Like that throw, okay, maybe a little low, but it's the slide right there. It's also the route that he ran. I don't know. I can't fault Lamar on that. I'm putting 100% of that blame on Mark Andrews there.
I'm faulting Lamar to a small margin. That is primarily on Mark Andrews. And the fumble was the worst one, because the fumble, he's trying to turn around and make extra yards.
Yeah, that was fucking.
That was his own fault.
That was hilarious.
That was his own fault.
That was a pure Lamar Jackson fumble.
No, I'm talking about Mark Andrews.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the Lamar Jackson's fumble when he's trying to avoid the sack.
Lamar did not have a good game.
He never has a good game in these playoffs. He's Lamar Chokeson is what he should be called.
Yeah. Granted, they got it to go nearly all the way back, and credit to Sean McDermott, because on 4th and short, they could have. Well, I mean, they kind of fucked themselves, because Romo said it right from the spot, right from the start. It was 4th and 2. Romo was right for once. You should have snapped it under center and did a QB sneak with Josh Allen, gain that yard, and do it again. But instead, they took it from the shotgun. They tried to QB sneak it. They got back to the line of scrimmage. So it was 4th and 2. They ran the clock down. They took it to the timeout. After talking about it, they decided to kick the field goal, and it put them up 8. The Ravens come back down the field, get the touchdown, and then the 2-point conversion was failed. And the Ravens tried a 2-point conversion earlier in that game, and it failed. Now, Zach, some news for you. Since week one of the NFL, I don't know how many times they went for 2. The Baltimore Ravens, not once this season on a 2-point conversion, used Derek. Not once.
That seems very stupid.
That
you got
is the definition of retarded.
I mean, that's the definition of stuff that might put. I mean, obviously, I'm saying this is not going to happen, but as I am saying it, you see more and more stuff like this happen year in year out. Is this maybe is there like a bit of a coaching vacancy we could see happen here in Baltimore?
No. I feel like John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin are solidified in their positions, and it completely makes sense. Here's Lamar Jackson's post-game press conference.
First half, I had 2 costly turnovers. Me not holding the safety, me just knowing the coverage, me knowing it was man, threw a BS interception. It was 7-7 at the time. I believe they scored after that. Battle back, fumble, snap, trying to make something happen. Couldn't throw. It was like a RPO play, so I couldn't really throw the ball to likely, the offensive line was down the field. So I was trying to make something happen. Tried to squeeze the ball, it slipped out my hand. Von Miller picked it up, got some yards. I think that led to points for them. So it's a team effort out there. He been busting his behind, he making plays happen out there on that field for us. Came up short. And like I've been saying all season, every time we in situations like this, turnovers play a factor. Penalties play a factor. Tonight, the turnovers, we can't have that shit. And that's why we lost the game, because as you can see, we're moving the ball wonderfully. It's hold on to the fucking ball. I'm sorry for my language, but this shit annoying. I'm tired of this shit, man.
Now, the only thing I can think of,
at himself too. He's not going directly at Mark Andrews. Lamar had the fumble and and I remember talking to you on Xbox about it. The horrible, putrid interception. That was bad.
Yeah, but I mean, why is he dressed like the guy from Incredibles?
Yeah, I don't know.
Honey, where is my super suit?
Where is my super suit?
That's the freeze man there.
Yeah, Frozone. They were without Zay Flowers, and as the offseason has already begun, people are talking about Tyreek Hill going to Baltimore, and I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, good luck, boys and girls. Tyreek Hill, I don't think wants to go fucking from Miami to Baltimore.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
I'm not talking. Well, I mean, just from the cities alone.
why wouldn't he though? It's about football. It's not about the cities.
Do you think it's about football for Ty? I think Tyreek Hill, he's won his championship. I think he just wants to give a fuck about playing out his career in a nice sunny climate, making his millions and millions and millions of dollars.
I don't know. It depends. I mean, he's also loves pumping babies out there in Miami.
Well, exactly. Another reason why he would stay in Miami, Robbie. The clientele of women in Miami are getting hot.
He talks about like what trying to benefit him and his family. Which one?
Well, I guess if benefiting his family would probably be getting him out of Miami so he can't create more family.
Yeah, exactly.
But Robbie, we got ourselves some pretty entertaining AFC and NFC championship games. Obviously, we'll have a full breakdown of those on Thursday's episode. But
we can't transition yet because we have to talk about something else.
What is that?
The head coaches.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, other than Ben Johnson, we got Ben Johnson being hired by the Bears. Robbie,
Is there from the start? You and I anticipated.
Yeah,
I think
it was leaning more.
People anticipated that.
It was leaning more towards the Raiders, though, for the last little bit I've been seeing. So I think I was a bit surprised to see him come out and say that he was signing with the Bears.
No, I wasn't, because the Bears, I mean, everything made sense with the Bears with what they have. They have a very good offense with Romo Dunze, DeAndre Swift, Caleb Williams, potentially Keenan Allen if he comes back. I don't know what that situation is going to be looking like, but this is how Ben Johnson was introduced to the office there in Chicago.
Everyone get back to work. Listen, thank you so much. My family and I, we are beyond excited. This is exactly where we wanted to be. This is exactly where we wanted to be. Where we want you. This is going to be a challenge. I am well aware of that. I know what this division's about. And this is exactly where we want to be. We're going to go after this thing, and it's going to take all of us in this room. It's going to take this locker room. It's nothing more important than that locker room and us serving that locker room and those players. All right? They need to understand that. They need to feel that from us every single day. And if we do that, the wins are going to come. The playoffs are going to come. All right? Can't wait to get to know you guys. And thank you so much for the warm welcome. Thank you.
That's a hell of an intro, Zachary. I mean, that is as professional as it gets. And I don't know when's the last time the Bears had a head coach as professional there as Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is an offensive genius. And honestly, Zach, if Caleb Williams is not what we expected him to be, then I think the Bears would make a big mistake if they decide to move on from both Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. If Caleb Williams can't get his shit together with Ben Johnson, you got to say sayonara to Caleb Williams. Ben Johnson deserves to be a head coach for a long period of time. If it doesn't work with Caleb Williams, there's something wrong with Caleb Williams up there. Just ask him and his fingernails, okay? If Caleb Williams doesn't work out with Ben Johnson, move on from Caleb Williams. Stick around Ben Johnson for as long as you possibly can, because if you let him go, I don't care how bad they look on offense. I don't care if they look like Matt Nagy on offense, okay? He will get another head coaching job. He's not an idiot. We saw what he's been doing the last couple years of the Detroit Lions, and I think there's a reason why he turned down every head coaching job last season. In that video you just saw right there. That's where he wanted to be all along. Dan Campbell had a big responsibility with the Detroit Lions. Look at where the Lions are now. They are one of the best teams in football, and unfortunately, they didn't meet expectations this season. The Chicago Bears have been a laughingstock for many, many years. Before Jay Cutler, before Mitch Trubisky, they have been a laughingstock for many, many years. And it's going to be a challenge for Ben Johnson. And he mentioned it. The NFC North is going to be dominant for years to come because there are three quarterbacks that are solidifying that conference. Jordan Love, potentially Sam Darnold. I think the Vikings are going to bring back Sam Darnold. I feel like they kind of have to. And Jared Goff.
Yeah.
It's going to be up to Caleb Williams to live up to that number one pick expectation.
And the Vikings, I mean, if they're you're gonna have to run it back at the Vikings team. They just re-signed Kevin O'Connell now. You're going to assume that Sam Darnold's going to get at least some sort of maybe a Baker Mayfield type contract there in the 30 to $35 million range.
Baker to Daniel Jones in between that range.
Yeah, somewhere in that range, which if he plays the way he played this year is going to be an incredibly nice, juicy quarterback contract for years to come for this Vikings team. But we'll just have to wait and see, Rod. But what other do you see any other head coaches signing here?
Well, let's talk about Kevin O'Connell. The Vikings' expectations going into the season, Zachary, the over-under was 6.5 wins because no Kirk Cousins, and it was a battle between Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy. And the Vikings, before the injury, it looked like they were going to start off with Sam Darnold and then throw in J.J. McCarthy when the time came. Unfortunately, J.J. McCarthy got hurt. And with him getting hurt, they had to go with Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold led them to 14 wins under Kevin O'Connell. Yes, it didn't go as they anticipated in the playoffs, but for Kevin O'Connell to get 14 wins and bring Minnesota to relevancy, they had to lock him up. Because if they didn't lock him up,
double their win total that they were supposed to. So
more than. It's unbelievable. So Kevin O'Connell gets a well extension. Regular season win percentage leaders last 3 seasons. Number 1 is the Chiefs. Number 2 is the Eagles. Number 3 is the Bills. Number 4 is the Lions. Number 5 is the Ravens. The Vikings come in at number 6. And the difference between those 5 teams right there, the Ravens, Lamar Jackson. The Bills, Josh Allen. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. The Lions, I mean, you got Jared Goff, but Dave Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. The Vikings, yeah, you got Justin Jefferson, but Kirk Cousins is not in the same tier as those 5 quarterbacks above him, and neither was Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is fighting for that right now. The teams below the Vikings with the highest win percentage the last 3 seasons, number 7 are the Niners. Their numbers took a big hit this year. The Dallas Cowboys took a big hit this year. The Bengals took a big hit this year and last year, and the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Yeah.
There's
I love what the Vikings did this year.
Yeah, there's no numbers on what he's getting for a contract, but I imagine it's like 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, the head coaching contracts for NFL is fucking weird. It seems like it's such a hidden thing.
It doesn't go against their salary cap.
No.
That's why.
But all that shit still be public, in my opinion, because we want to know. We're nosy people.
Yeah, I agree.
So then, I mean, you got teams like the Raiders left looking, the Jets left looking, the Jaguars left looking here, and the head coaches are kind of getting scooped up here, Robbie. Obviously, one of those teams is going to hire Mike McCarthy, we'd have to assume. If you're looking at the names that are available out there.
I know, but I don't know what team. I don't think he wants to go to a rebuild like the Saints. I don't think McCarthy wants to be a part of a rebuild. The Saints are rebuilding. The Raiders are rebuilding. Who else is out there? The Jets. I think he has no interest in the Jets because he tried to pass and they said, no, we're not interested. So he had no problem a couple years before going to the Dallas Cowboys.
That is true. And I guess I kind of forgot, too, that Dallas Cowboys, another team looking for a head coach as well. You guys in New England, Robbie, you have furred up your offensive coordinator position here. Would you like to discuss that?
Oh, I'm so happy. Josh McDaniels is a terrible head coach, but he will always come back to the Patriots as our offensive coordinator, and I love it. His last season as offensive coordinator with the Patriots, I believe they went 11-5 with Mac Jones. I'm curious to see what they're going to be doing this offseason. With T. Higgins available, most likely, unless they try to franchise tag him. I think I saw something about that. Who they draft, I hope it's Abdul Carter. I hope it's none of these wide receivers in this draft if Abdul Carter is available. He is very good with the offensive scheme. Don't get me wrong. And Josh Jacobs had his best statistical running season under Josh Jacobs over there in Vegas. I'm happy with the signing, and him and Vrabel obviously have familiarity, as Vrabel was a part of the defense when McDaniels was over as an offensive coordinator. So there's going to be no bad blood there. They both know the Patriot way. It all depends on what the Patriots do this offseason with receiving. T. Higgins will be available. Godwin should be available unless they try to franchise tag him. I'm happy with the signing because it's none of this. Whoever their fucking, I don't even know who the fuck their offensive coordinator was last year, Zach. I don't even remember. I honestly don't remember who the fuck was on the Patriots coaching staff outside of Gerard Mayo. You know what I mean?
Well, it's going to be a whole different look for you guys next year. That's for damn sure.
Right. So, looking at team, with the McDaniels, I'm happy with the signing. I'm always happy when McDaniels come back to New England. The Cowboys need a head coach still, like you mentioned. The Jaguars need a head coach. The Saints need a head coach. The Raiders need a head coach. So I don't know what direction these teams are going to be necessarily going in as it pertains to their coaching.
Maybe Thursday's episode we'll have a couple more coaches already hired, folks. You'll never know. 4 head coaches to be hired seems like quite a bit here, Robbie.
I agree. And Zach, I was scrolling through Twitter and I found 13 players that will be first-time Hall of Fame candidates next year for MLB. Are you curious to hear?
Sure.
Okay. Neil Walker, Rick Porcello, Hunter Pence, Daniel Murphy, Nick Markakis, Alex Gordon, Cole Hamels. Cole Hamels might make it. Matt Kemp, Howie Kendrick, Gio Gonzalez, Edwin Encarnacion, Shin-Soo Choo, and Ryan Braun. Out of everybody in that list, I think Cole Hamels stands the best chance, and everyone else, I don't know if they'll make it.
Go Edwin.
Maybe Edwin Encarnacion. I don't think he's part of no steroid scheme there.
No, it's like when you run fucking home runs with a parrot in his arm.
Yeah, we both seen that. CC Sabathia is going to be wearing a Yankee hat when he gets into the Hall of Fame, which is beautiful to hear.
Fifi Sabathia. But Mr. Robert.
Mr. Zachary.
We're approaching 8 o'clock here. What do you say? We rarely have. I found almost no NBA news, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's.
So I don't know if you want, we can wait till Thursday's episode and just do one big shebang on that. But there is a little bit of NHL news, and then we do have UFC 311 to go over before we let these lovely folks go on this Tuesday evening. Robert.
All right, sounds good to me. So you want to go to hockey?
Let's do some hockey here. Yes, sir, Robbie. We do have a little bit of hockey news. Kind of surprising news to start this week off with, Robbie. Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
3-game suspension for cross-checking Cody Garland in the face. However, Robbie, I saw a video of PK Subban talking with this, and I'm 100% on his side. The NHL is a joke. The refereeing in the NHL is a joke for this. You have Cody Garland for a good 15 seconds draping himself all over McDavid to the point where he's taking him down to the ice. He's laying on top of him. Not one call gets called for a hold, for a roughing. Not one call gets called for that. And then McDavid finally, after 15 seconds of getting held down, gets pissed off, gets up, and yeah, you can't cross-check a guy in the face. That's going to get you suspension. But it should have never led to that, Robbie. It led to that because the refs were letting them play. Well, sometimes you let them play a little bit too much and shit like that happens, and now you got fucking McDavid out on a 3-game suspension.
Yo, Ovi's funny. Ovi on McDavid saying tonight's game out for suspension. Quote, sucks for him, good for us.
Yeah, he's damn right not wrong about that. But, I mean, that's just kind of funny to see a guy like McDavid's caliber getting a 3-game suspension. To me, that's just something you have to talk about, Robbie. It's retarded that the NHL let it happen, but those are the referees you hire, boys. But, Robbie, one of the big things that I would like to discuss here was a trade that was basically in paper a done deal to happen, and at the last second, it got nixed. We've heard a lot of rumors circling around JT Miller, and the team that has been hardened or trying to acquire him the hardest is a team that he used to play for, the New York Rangers. We know they're not having a very good year this year. Robbie, a trade went down between the Rangers and the Canucks last week that got vetoed at the last minute. And this trade was JT Miller to the New York Rangers in return for Philip Cheadle, Ryan Lindgren, and a future assets, including a first-round pick. They didn't release what other future assets there were too, but probably another draft pick, maybe a prospect. A very nice return for a disgruntled player in JT Miller who just does not look like he's having fun in Vancouver anymore. But he gets nixed at the last second. And if I'm a Ranger fan, I'm a little bit pissed off right now because, I mean, Philip Cheadle's a great player. Ryan Lindgren's another great defenseman, but JT Miller is a game changer, Robbie. He is a guy that can come into this lineup and kind of make that immediate switch to maybe make this group not a bunch of fucking losers like the way they've been playing this season. In the end, it gets nixed, though. I'm not too sure what side nixed the deal. I think it was something to do, if I was reading this correctly, it was something to do with the first round pick that they were trying to either sell off or acquire in this deal. They couldn't agree on which one to go for. So whether it's ego versus ego, the deal did not get done. But if I'm a Rangers fan, Robbie, I am pretty upset right now.
Who do you think has a better chance of getting traded out of Vancouver, JT Miller or Elias Pettersson?
I think it's JT Miller, just from the videos I'm seeing. Like JT Miller now, Robbie, is getting off the ice and going and sitting on the complete opposite end of the bench, completely away from all of his line mates. He looks like he's just completely just done with Vancouver. And to be honest with you, Robbie, I mean, at some point we might have to point this finger at JT Miller because he is a star player, and he's now going to be on like his fifth team in probably 10, 11 years. At some point, you got to be like, is it me? You know, at some point, the finger's going to have to get pointed back towards you.
Mm-hmm.
But, Robbie, another team that is looking to make some serious moves here.
I don't mean to interrupt here, but I mean, Vancouver is literally 1 point away. Calgary has 51 to their 50 from being in the wild card. So do you think Vancouver's looking at that like, you know, maybe it takes, you know, getting into that wild card, and you know better than anybody, anything can happen in that NHL playoffs. It's way different from the regular season.
Yeah, I agree, but it's also just like at this point, Robbie, they need to get either JT Miller or Elias Pettersson out of this room, just for the fucking the morale in the dressing room. I feel like it's just been all sucked out. Like there's nothing going good in Vancouver right now. It's got to be awkward and maybe clicky in that room. And I think the guy you got to move is JT Miller. I think you'll get a little bit more return for him. And I can almost guarantee you with how hard I see these Rangers pushing, Robbie, they will be the team that will acquire him.
Well, the Rangers are starting to make their way back up in the standings. Because last time I looked, I believe they're like second or third from the bottom, and now they're third away from the second spot behind the Bruins. They have 48 points. The Bruins 52, and Ottawa's 52. And Ottawa has 2 games less played than Boston.
Yeah, Ottawa's making a bit of a return here, a bit of a resurgence.
I'm sure your brother's stepdad is very happy.
He's probably pretty pleased, but I'll tell you who's very pleased too, Robbie, is me seeing the Toronto Maple Leafs are second place in the
buddy. Yeah, buddy.
But Robbie, you also know that I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan here, and it looks like the Pittsburgh Penguins era of having a good hockey team is completely gone, Robbie. Kyle Dubas announces earlier today or yesterday, maybe it was, that a fire sale is expected to happen in Pittsburgh, and pretty much everybody and their mama is available on this team, outside of Sidney Crosby. And when you think, Robbie, that it's all bad news for the Pittsburgh Penguins this year, they do have a goalie that just set an NHL, not even an NHL record. He became the first goalie in NHL history to score a goal and to get an assist in the same game. I mean, the man had a fucking better stat line than Paul Bissonnette ever had in one hockey game in his entire career, and he's a fucking goaltender. A goal and an assist for Alex Angelkovic on the weekend. It's absolutely incredible, but there's a dark cloud over Pittsburgh right now, Robbie. I could see guys like, you know, they're saying that they're willing to take some contract back or to retain some money, rather, to get Erik Karlsson out of there. I mean, we could be seeing the last of Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang in Pittsburgh uniforms, and if it is, I mean, just as a Penguins fan for these last fucking whatever it is, 20 years of watching hockey, however long I've been like actually watching it, it's been awesome to watch these guys play in the black and gold. And you know, it's funny, Robbie. We hated Dubas here in Toronto, and if you think I hate Dubas, you think I hated Dubas then. I can't stand that piece of shit pussy now. I mean, you set my Toronto Maple Leafs back like what seems like a decade with some of your absolutely ridiculously retarded moves. And then you just went in and just destroyed a legend franchise in the matter of 2 years. So congratulations, Mr. Kyle Dubas, you full-on retard. You know, I watched a movie today, Robbie, of Woody Harrelson coaching a group of Down syndrome kids in basketball.
Oh, no.
Those Down syndrome kids, less retarded than fucking Kyle Dubas. Yeah, I feel like that might have been a little far. I apologize. I went on a rant.
My God, we're gonna get canceled. But I mean, you're lucky Trump's back in office. You were lucky Trump's back in office.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! Because this was the Biden administration. If this came through, we're getting canceled.
The second I said, I was like, that was probably a little far.
Right. So
Anyways.
I want you to repeat yourself for the people in the back that didn't hear you.
I'm not gonna repeat myself.
Repeat yourself, pussy.
Why are you people deaf? They can just fucking go back and listen to it.
Repeat yourself, pussy.
Okay, I'm not 3 years old. I'm not going to do this because you're going to repeat it 19 times. Why don't we just keep going on? Because it's 8:05 and I'm starving here. I haven't eaten fucking anything today.
See.
Robbie, that's all I got for NHL news, sir. Why don't we? You got anything else you want to toss in there?
No. Outside of Matt Rempe, I mean, he's back and forth between Hartford and New York, Hartford, New York, Hartford, New York, Hartford and New York. Poor guy.
Yeah, we saw that coming.
Can't ever stay in Hartford. That sucks. Anything else in the NHL, Zachary? I want to go to the home screen here on ESPN really quick to make sure we're not seeing anything. Let me go to the standings really quick. I want to see how the Utah Hockey Club's doing. Wild card. I'm curious in their first season. Oh, so they're about 4 points out. They have 2 games. Colorado is in the wild card, huh? They're not even in their own division in the Pacific, huh? We're not. They're in the Central.
They got one of the worst bottom 9 forward groups I've ever seen, Robbie. Incredible
losing streak. Did I lose you? Oh, there you are.
No, would you say how many game losing streak?
4.
I could drop them down. I still have Vegas probably winning the cup this year. To be honest with you, Robbie,
they're still in first. They're still in first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're that good.
None else in hockey. Montreal's Columbus. Zach, oh my fucking god! If Columbus made the playoffs after Johnny Gaudreau, the hockey gods would have spoken.
That would be a pretty poetic end. And honestly, Robbie, I can see it happen. They're not a bad team this year, Columbus. They're not a bad team, but it does.
I'm going to bring it up. How much better would they be with Johnny Gaudreau?
Obviously, Robbie, it would be fucking. But it's also, I feel like as shitty as to say, like something like this kind of galvanizes you as a group, you know. And maybe it's like yeah, it's obviously it's something very tough comes to strengthen you up. But maybe this is like they go in there every day with a new level of motivation that no one else in this fucking league has to play for this year.
His locker is still there for him.
Exactly. So I think it just adds that extra bit of fucking je ne sais quoi for them for this season, where it just gives them that extra push to go, okay, you know what, we got to work a little bit harder today than just because now we're all putting in a little bit extra to pick up the slack for our player that should be with us here today. But unfortunately, it's because drunk driving happens and people are a bunch of dirty fucking cocksucking assholes. But we're not going to get into that.
The Red Wings are third at the bottom and the Islanders are second from the bottom. Zachary, do you see any trades happening with Red Wings and the Islanders? Do you see the Islanders move on from potentially Bo Hovart? Do you see the Red Wings potentially move on with Patrick Kane? What do you see happen? I mean, the Red Wings took a big step back, dude. Major.
Yeah, I think the one name from the Islanders that's popping up is Brock Nelson is, I believe, a second or third line center for him. He's probably a guy that's going to get shipped off. He's coming up to the end of his contract. Would be a nice little addition for a team making a deep playoff run, but the Red Wings are a surprising team to me, Robbie. I mean, they were that team last year that at the end of the year they had such a big bolster up the standings here, missed the playoffs by literally one game. And I thought coming into this year, you know, you're bringing back Patrick Kane, you got the Brinkat, you got the young goalies, Moritz Seider on defenseman, Lucas Raymond, Dalen Larkin. Like, your team is good on paper, and it just has not shown on the ice as to what it could be, Robert.
All right. UFC 311 time, huh?
Yeah, let's go over some UFC 311 here, sir.
I mean, it was very disappointing because of the dropout.
Yeah, the dropout in the title fight for Suck or whatever his name is, the Armin Taxiaran, I think it was. Now, Robbie, I was kind of hearing some rumors about this, and I really hope they're not true. But from what I was hearing is apparently he was nowhere near making weight. So that this injury could have not been exactly an injury per se. But more so, you know, kind of save himself the embarrassment of going up there 6-7 pounds above weight. However, that's just stuff I'm reading on Twitter from no-name accounts, so I could just be throwing some fucking gasoline on the fire. But in the end, Robbie, they were still able to put up a few good fights here. Just the main fight was an absolute joke.
Yeah. Kevin Holland ended up losing, unfortunately. That's our boy. He lost. Almeida won. Jiri won over Jamal Hill. That kind of surprised me, Zach.
Big knockout too, Robbie. Great knockout.
Nurmagomedov suffers his first defeat in decision. I don't know if you got a chance to watch that fight, Zach. I didn't get.
I didn't get to watch any of these, to be honest with you. But from what I was reading about this, was Nurmagomedov came out, won the first 2 rounds. From what I've been hearing about this, Robbie, is we have never in our lives seen cardio like this in a UFC fighter, or just in any athlete in general. This guy's cardio is above and beyond anything else in the UFC, and it shows it in fight in and fight out. Apparently, Umar came out, won the first 2 rounds. I think broke his hand, actually, in the first round of that fight, so that could play into it as well. And then Merab kind of dog-walked him in those last 3, getting the unanimous decision. With him breaking his hand, Nurmagomedov, from what I was just reading here, Robbie, I believe he now has to take the next 6 months out, or 6 months off, due to a medical suspension. So you won't be seeing too much of him fighting next year. Maybe 2 fights if we're lucky. But that's a tough loss for him, right? But he'll be back in. He will be a future title contender and a title champion in the bantamweight. But this one, Robbie, what could have been such a good fight. Islam Makhachev was supposed to fight Saksarian, whatever the fuck his name is. Ends up fighting Renacio Moicano, and it was just a brutal. Just kind of, Moicano caught him with actually a nice punch in the first round that kind of looked like it rocked him a little bit, and everyone was like, oh my God, what? And then a Darce choke happened about a minute later, and it was like, yep, this was over before it even started.
Yeah, Dana White's trying to talk about how Islam Makhachev is the best fighter pound for pound, but we didn't get to see the best fighter go up against him. So I think Renato was like the 10th ranked lightweight contender, so I'm not going to go out and say that Makhachev is still the best pound for pound fighter.
No.
And on Johnny Bones.
I'll tell you right now what he is, Robbie. Before we head on out here, let me just go to MMA. MMA rankings. We're going to lightweight. So Manaccio came in. Robbie. He's not even on this top 10 list here. Oh
God!
So we're talking about a guy that's probably in the top 15. I think the only reason he was the one that got the call up, Robbie, is because he was supposed to fight on this card already.
Yeah, maybe. That's probably it.
And he's like, you know what? The guy's been training. Fuck it. We'll get him in there. And boy, oh boy, did he get the shit kicked out of him. But I guess you give him some heart for getting in there.
I mean, you're always going to try, Yes, Zach, what are you trying to see?
No, I was just trying to see if maybe he was like coming up from a different weight class, but no, he's a lightweight, and yeah, he is not on this top 10 list.
There's a UFC fight night upcoming that features Israel Adesanya. That's February 1st. Oh, there's a Nurmagomedov fighting in the PFL. Usman Nurmagomedov is fighting golf. Excuse me.
Pig.
Times 2. Usman Nurmagomedov is fighting off against Paul Hughes in Abu Dhabi in the PFL this Saturday. Is there any other names on here that ring a bell? Probably not, because this is PFL and Bellator mixed together. It sucks we're not going to hear Bellator. Bellator has more of a kick than PFL for me. They should just called it Bellator in general. Nurmagomedov is a minus 475 favorite. And then the co-main event, Tim Johnson versus Vadim Nemkov. Tim Johnson's a plus 800. Jesus Christ. So the next UFC event prior to Duplessis versus Sean Strickland, number 2, is going to be Israel Adesanya versus Imavov, I believe. Imavov.
Ooh, we also have Michael Venom Page fighting on this Adesanya card.
Yeah,
Robbie.
and the main
against
Shahar Magomedov.
And then also in that card, there's also another Nurmagomedov. So I mean, do they have 1 or 2 last names in that fucking country? This is ridiculous.
I don't fucking know.
It's like if you pop out of your mom's pussy with a Nurmagomedov last name, you automatically are like a quadruple black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Zach, I want you to go down to the prelims and try to pronounce this one guy's name. He's from Egypt.
What flag is? Oh, is that Egypt's flag?
It's Egypt.
Who's he fighting?
Jamal Pogas.
Oh, that's H. Abdalwahab. Hamdi Abdalwahab.
What? You might be right. Abdalwahab.
Abdalwahab.
Oh my God.
Hamdi Abdalwahab.
Too. Give all the credit you can to John Anik. How he could say I can never work in the UFC or PFL, or hockey. How he could say these last names clearly is beyond me.
That's like, have you ever seen the clip of Chance the Rapper when he was doing, I can't remember what, he was doing like some sort of comedy thing with the New York Rangers, and he was like pretending to be like a sportscaster, and he's like, I'm here with, and he like turns to the guy in the Rangers, and it's Brady Shea, whose last name is Skeij. That's how you pronounce Shea. And he goes, I'm here with, what the hell is that? Is that fucking, what is, how do you even pronounce that?
Oh, shit. That's funny. Zach, before we go, I want you to know that I'm going to go through my collection of cards, and I have some cards here. I wanted to show you what I have for you. It looks like this is a silver rookie, Nate Pearson.
Oh, okay. Is that a Blue Jays Nate Pearson?
Yep. I have a All-Star edition from the Toronto Raptors for you, Vince Carter.
Oh, very nice.
I don't know if Dad's still here. I have a red parallel mosaic, Alec Manaea.
Oh, Bob's gonna love that one.
I pulled this when I FaceTime you and the boys. A Prestige, Myles Garrett.
Damn right.
A Prestige, Amari Cooper.
I got to get back into my cards.
And a score from the same opening I had with you, Chubb.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I was going to get Plouffe a certain card. Let me see if I still have it here. Here it is. I was going to get Plouffe this card right here. It's a rookie card. It's purple. I don't know if this is mosaic. I don't remember which this is. It's a purple Keon White. I was going to give this to Plouffe, but you know why I stopped myself? It's marked number 85 out of 125. I love you, Plouffe, but sorry.
85 out of 125? Goddamn.
Yeah, I love you, Plouffe, but sorry. That's mine. I have a bunch of other cards for Plouffe and Steve and Matty D.
I got to go get some cards. Actually, maybe tomorrow after work I'll stop by. I have a spot up the street from my house called Untouchables. And it's one of those spots you can go in there and buy like actual boxes of things, but you can also go in. They have like a big fucking display case of like single cell cards. So you can go in there and spend like $40 on a fucking Josh Allen, whatever it is. So you know what I mean? You can buy, and I don't really have like a statement piece card like that. I think the most expensive card that I own right now is one I pulled out of like a $20 box, and it's a Jack Hughes card that if I got a grade and it turned out to be a 9 or higher, it could be like $100, something like that. But I feel like even getting it graded and going through that whole process is a fucking pain in the ass. And I'm really not into it to make money. I'm kind of more into it just to see what the cool shit is, you know? But Robert,
I don't know if I can find the card here, but the most expensive card I had is an RPA of Brandon Ayuk. That's my most expensive card.
Brandon Ayuk sucks.
Yeah, he does. I should have sold this card when he was a rookie, because he was it was a $400 card. Now it's a $60 card.
I saw something even worse about that, Robbie. Kenny Pickett Prism rookie card in his rookie season went for like $600 and something. And now that same card is worth about $3. So,
oh my God, that's
so. If you have that card and you held on to it, goddamn. But Robbie, we've almost had these folks in here for about 2 hours. What do you say we let them go?
Yeah. Thank you guys for the people that have been there for me this week. It's been a very challenging week. I just want to say thank you to the coworkers that have reached out to me. Thank you for my job, Yard Metals, who has been phenomenal with me throughout this process. Thank you. Thank you to my friends. Thank you to Zach. Thank you to everybody that's checking in on me as I go through these certain situations I'm not going to throw out there. Just thank you. I'll probably be back Thursday. My status is up in the air. We got to see what's going to end up happening. But one thing's for sure is Zach 100% will be here on Thursday. Thank you, everybody. And Zach, take us on out.
And hopefully, before I do this, Robbie, if it all goes well, I'm hoping to be possibly throwing in my first offer on a condo lease come Wednesday or Thursday. So,
love to hear it, Zachary. Take us on out, brother.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, that dives in and completes another Tuesday night episode of the Sports Cave, folks. We will see you guys on Thursday.
and stay sexy, Sports Game.